What's up everyone, it's Benedict here, aka BHL Hudson. Welcome back to the BHL2 channel, and today we are kicking off award season unseasonably early. We are talking about the Oscars for 2027, which will be in March next year, in May of this year. Now I'm not actually kicking off the season. We will have enough time to talk about these movies, come November, December, but I thought it could be fun to look at some early predictions for what will be nominated at the Oscars next year. This is kind of a shot in the dark thing. It's based on, the vibes of some of the movies that have already come out, some of the news we've heard about, some of the big directors that have movies coming up. I've consulted a few different articles. There's a Variety article with predictions for the Oscars next year that helped me at least gather like a short list. I've not copied my predictions from that, don't worry. I got my own, I know better than Variety, obviously, of course, but, it was good for compiling a list. Yeah, I'm going to go through the categories and talk about, just at this point, what movies I think could be nominated, and if I get them all right, I'll look like a genius. It'll be great. Let's get into it. First of all, score. This one, I think, is one of the easier categories to predict because we have not just some big movies, but some big names in the film scoring game here. Honestly, like all of the big names in the film scoring game, because we have the Odyssey with score from last year's or this year's winner, Ludwig Göransson. It's an epic, ancient Greek tale. Ludwig Göransson makes incredible scores, including and especially the New Girl score. But yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. That'll probably be there. Then The Adventures of Cliff Booth. I didn't really think of this as like a big score contender until I saw it was Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor doing the score of Nine Inch Nails, which I'm totally familiar with because I'm cool with music and stuff. But, I know that they are famous film people, film composers, in addition to successful musicians. They've worked with Fincher before. They've made some great scores. I feel like they'll be up here. I've also put here Behemoth. I'll be honest, this was like a wild card one where I had these other four, and I was like, I don't know, maybe Behemoth. Because when I looked into it, it's Alan Silvestri, who's done some pretty great music. Brandon Roberts and James Newton Howard, I'm not as familiar with, but I feel like there could be some decent stuff there, and I'm pretty sure Behemoth is about musicians, music and such, you can see where my mind was going here. Then we have Disclosure Day, John Williams. He's always getting nominations. Pretty sure he's the most nominated person ever in Oscar history, maybe. So that's, I feel like, a pretty safe bet. And then Dune 3, we got Hans Zimmer. Also, incredible, iconic composer. So, just in terms of composers, Zimmer, Williams, what am I thinking of here? Odyssey. Göransson. Insane lineup. I feel like this is a pretty decent prediction slate I've got here. Next up, visual effects. Also a pretty easy one, although, this could be wrong, but I think we're definitely going to have Dune 3. Avengers Doomsday is going to have a lot of effects. The Odyssey, I feel like visual effects isn't just CGI, I'm pretty sure. Like, it includes practical effects as well. So, and I think The Odyssey will combine both of those. Speaking of which, Project Hail Mary, a combination of various kinds of effects, really impressive. The puppetry of Rocky and such, that counts as visual effects, right? Yes, I'm not crazy. But yeah, visually incredible film. And then Godzilla Minus Zero. I'm pretty sure Godzilla Minus One won the visual effects award the year it came out. So yeah, that tracks. Should it have, by the way? Maybe not. A controversial opinion. I don't think that movie is all that. But I think, this is my prediction for the effects lineup. I feel like a pretty basic. You could get like, I don't know, Spider-Man in here as well. But yeah, effects and such. Then we move on to costume design. I feel like this is also pretty, with these more production kind of ones, I feel like you can go with some of the big scale genre movies, the historic movies or whatever. Because we got Cliff Booth costumes, it's a period piece set in the 70s or late 60s or whatever. They gotta have some costumes for that. Sense and Sensibility, I put the poster for the old movie, but there's a new one coming out next year. That's some Jane Austen stuff. They gotta have some period appropriate costumes for that. Speaking of which, the Odyssey, you can argue if it's period appropriate, but there are a lot of costumes in that will be, quite impressive or talked about. Werwulf, Robert Eggers movie. I'm assuming it's set in some, medieval kind of gothic environment like a lot of his other films. Gotta have some costumes for that. And Dune 3, fantasy movie. They got costumes. They're kind of just wearing rags and stuff, and I guess like the stilt suits or whatever. But yeah, it's an impressive big production. I feel like that's going to be in there for costume design. Next up, makeup and hairstyling, kind of similar. Sense and Sensibility, again, I feel like, there'll be some hairstyles in Jane Austen times, I suppose. Werewolf, again, period-y movie. Clayface, I feel like this is a good one, because it's, all about, this could be an effect as well, I guess, maybe, but it's this guy whose face is melting and, body horror and whatever. I feel like there'll be some cool makeup in there. Digger, they are making Tom Cruise into a different looking person that usually gets some buzz from the Academy. Smashing Machine got a nomination last year, turning the iconic Tom Cruise into some balding fat guy or whatever. Should get some buzz. And then I put the movie Michael here. People have been, in that Variety article I was talking about, there was some speculation about Michael getting some big nominations, like for, supporting actor for Coleman Domingo, which I would not be crazy about. But I don't think it's going to do that. But I think makeup and hairstyling, I can see, you had to make him look like Michael Jackson. And I don't know. There was the part before he got the nose surgery, and that was some makeup, and they all had some period appropriate hairstyles and whatever, and they made him look like Michael Jackson. I feel like it fits for makeup and hairstyling. Next up, production design. Also kind of self-explanatory. Cliff Booth movie, set in the 70s, you gotta make it look like the 70s, get some old cars or whatever. I know there's more to production design than that, but Dune 3, epic fantasy world, Project Hail Mary, they made that spaceship, look great. Werwolf, period movie, The Odyssey, big epic battles and ancient Greece and stuff. Pretty self-explanatory here. Cinematography. Also some similar contenders. I think The Odyssey, classic, Nolan, he'd be getting them cinematography awards on occasion. Not on occasion, actually, pretty often, I feel like. But yeah, it looks like an incredible looking film. I've gone Behemoth here as well. I'll be honest, that's a total shot in the dark. I was like, fuck it, I need a fourth movie. Behemoth, sure. Like, that could maybe be an awards contender in this way. So I have no idea if that's going to look incredible or be like a cinematography contender. I just threw it in here, I'll be honest. Project Hail Mary, great looking film. Digger, Iñárritu, he's, Revenant, Birdman. He's done some revolutionary stuff with cinematography, so I feel like that could be expected. And Dune 3, again, epic looking film. I think that's going to be there. Animated feature. There's usually one of these that sneaks up on me. Like, pre 2024, I didn't know about the movie Flow or anything, so there might be something that comes out of nowhere. But I feel like this year there's some pretty strong contenders that I am aware of here. Forgotten Island, this DreamWorks movie. I didn't think it looked very good, to be honest, but in this Variety article, they were like pinning it for best screenplay or something. I was like, really? Is this going to be this? Like, it just looked like kind of a generic kids movie to me, but I guess it has some buzz. I don't think it's going to get a screenplay nomination or anything, but animated, yeah, sure. Maybe it'll be very good. I don't know. Toy Story 5, Pixar movie, Toy Story, yeah, makes sense. Toy Story 4 was nominated for, not Toy Story 4, Toy Story 3 was nominated for Best Picture, so, I think it'll be here. Wildwood, new Leica animated movie from Travis Knight, the stop motion stuff. I feel like that'll be pretty peak. The art of animation in that, that'll be up there. Hoppers, I've not actually seen yet, but, Pixar movie. Is it Pixar or just Disney? Maybe just Disney, I don't know, but, very well received, very well liked. I should watch it. I think I'm watching it like in a couple of days, but, yeah, I think that'll be up there. And then Ray Gun, Brad Bird returning to the animated world. Very exciting. I'm very excited for that. He has not missed animation-wise. Although Incredibles 2 was kind of, I don't know. Actually, yeah, he's not really returned. He was there in 2018. But yeah, Ray Gun, a new Brad Bird animated film. I think it should be pretty cool. Next up, we have casting. Now, for this one, this new award from this year, I've gone Wild Horse 9, the new Martin McDonagh movie, where we've got Sam Rockwell and John Malkovich and others. I feel like what am I saying here? The McDonagh movies have like great casts, and he gets, very memorable performances out of his cast members, so I feel like there could be something there. Dune 3, just an enormous cast. Same with The Odyssey, just like huge casts of talented actors. I feel like that's got to count for something. Adventures of Cliff Booth just feels like one that would be in there. I don't know, you got Brad Pitt and Elizabeth Debicki, and I feel like there's other people who I'm blanking on right now, but it has like a pretty solid cast that I feel like, again, through a Tarantino script, through Fincher direction, you'll get like distinct performances and memorable characters and stuff out of that. I feel like that could be up there. And then I've gone for, what's this? Clarissa, which is this, a film I had not heard of, but came up a lot in this Variety article in various places. I was looking at like movies with buzz. I put here the cover for this Mrs. Dalloway book by Virginia Woolf, which is what it's based on. It's like a reimagining of it. Yeah, again, I don't know a lot about this movie. It's gotten a lot of buzz based on a Virginia Woolf book. Yeah, so I feel like that could be up there. It's gonna be a big movie come award season, apparently. So I'm trying to read the tea leaves here. I'll say that also gets the casting nomination. Original screenplay. This is kind of an interesting one. There's Fjord, this movie with Sebastian Stan, and I really should know how to pronounce this woman's name at this point, Renate Reinsve, where it's like a Norwegian-Romanian family. They go to Norway, and then there's like something deep happens, there's some drama. Sounds like a very like prestigious, interesting, well-done movie. Sounds, a little bit of that Scandinavian cinema, that like slightly Thomas Vinterberg-esque maybe, just from what I've read about and the vibes. I think it's been shown at some festivals. I think it's gotten positive reviews. Anyway, it's got some buzz around it at the very least. It seems like a movie where the screenplay will be like, will be talked about. In a similar vein, the film Josephine has also gotten some buzz. It's about this little girl seeing like, I think it was some kind of, I think on the Wikipedia it said a brutal assault in like Central Park or at the Golden Gate Bridge or something. And anyway, it's some trauma that comes from that. It has Channing Tatum in it and Gemma Chan, it's Gemma Chan, right? Obviously, yes. Yeah, sounds like a dramatic, deep screenplay. I feel like that could be up there. Wild Horse 9, Martin McDonagh, that makes sense. Digger, that looks like from the premise also it's like an oil baron who accidentally is almost causing a world war, and the president is trying to talk to him. Whatever. It just sounds like a great, like interesting satire, dark comedy maybe. And then I put here the Damien Chazelle prison movie that I think is yet to be titled, with Daniel Craig and Cillian Murphy. I don't know. We don't know much about it, but I'm confident in Damien Chazelle's return. I feel like maybe he'll have learned some lessons from Babylon, which also, by the way, Babylon wasn't like the worst movie ever. Just had like some problems, but it had, a lot of promise, as he's shown in Whiplash and La La Land, his other films. I feel like there could be a great screenplay here for that one. I'll go the Chazelle prison movie, which I think is an original. I don't think it's based on something. If I'm wrong, my bad. We go on to adapted screenplay. Once again, we have Clarissa, based on the Virginia Woolf book. The Social Reckoning, which I believe is an adaptation of some kind of book, or is based on true story thing. Is that an adaptation, or does it have to be based on a book? I don't know. I think this is either way, but it's the Aaron Sorkin screenplay, The Social Network follow-up. It's Aaron Sorkin. It's a, relevant to the present day kind of movie. I think it's like an almost guarantee. Then we have here Saturn Return, which I've just put a picture of Charles Melton here because I think he is starring in it. But Saturn Return, it's from the director of Sing Sing, which, was a very acclaimed movie a couple years ago. It's about two people who, like, they are in love in college, and they go through life, and, life is complicated or whatever. Sounds like a good drama movie. Sounds like it'll have a good screenplay. I'll throw that in here. It's gotten some buzz, some note. Cliff Booth movie, Quentin Tarantino screenplay. Come on, that's 100% going to be in there. And I guess it's adapted because it's a sequel to the first movie, I guess. I don't know how these fucking Oscar categories work. And then I put here this rather unflattering image of Andrew Garfield, but it's from the set of Artificial, the Luca Guadagnino movie about Sam Altman, which again, not entirely sure if that's an adapted thing or an original, if it's based on a book or a real event, does that count as adapted? But if it is, I think that'll be in here because, again, like Social Reckoning, modern day sort of interesting, relevant film. I feel like that could be up there. We move on to supporting actress. First of all, I've got Gemma Chan from Josephine. Yeah, again, it sounds like it'll be a deep, well-written drama and well-performed. And again, I don't know if she will be the main actress or the supporting actress. The Variety article also helped me to categorize, which category these people fit in. So I think that had her as supporting actress, so I'll go with that. But yeah, I've got Mikey Madison for The Social Reckoning. She just won an Oscar. She's a great actress. Social Reckoning, I feel like, will be a big awards contender. Aaron Sorkin movie relevant and all that. I've got Eva Victor, for, what is the movie? Behemoth, where, again, I don't know much about the movie or the performance. These are very early predictions, but her movie Sorry Baby was a big hit, even though it didn't get, I don't know if it got any Oscar nominations, maybe screenplay, but, it was a big hit, and I feel like she has some buzz. I feel like she'll be good in that as well. Elizabeth Debicki from the Cliff Booth movie. Sure, Fincher, Tarantino, she'll probably give a good performance. And similar vein, Anne Hathaway for the Odyssey. Nolan movie, big kind of awardsy, big director movie. She'll probably be pretty good. Yeah. Again, it's harder to predict, this early on. But those are my supporting actress picks. Supporting actor, I've got Mark Ruffalo for this movie Being Human, which we haven't talked about so far, but it's from, I believe it's Cyan Cedar, is that the name of the director? But the person who directed Coda, and it's a adaptation of a biography of this disability activist. Again, I don't know a ton about it, but it seems like an awards contender. And, you know, the director of Coda won Best Picture and Best Screenplay and whatnot. And Mark Ruffalo, he's given good performances. I feel like he could be in here. I've got David Oyelowo from, what was the movie again? Clarissa. He did not win in 2015 for playing Martin Luther King, but I remember, you know, he had some buzz there. I feel like he hasn't done as much since then as I would have expected. When I saw him in Selma as MLK, I was like, wow, that's going to be like, you know, a big time actor in the next few years. And, you know, he's been around, he's been doing stuff, but I feel like this could be a return to awards contention. Channing Tatum for Josephine, again, movie has some buzz, drama, deep drama. I feel like he could be up there. John Goodman for Digger, I 100% think he's going to be nominated. You know, acclaimed actor, kind of. I feel like John Goodman hasn't done much lately, so I feel like it's kind of him coming back into the spotlight for like an Iñárritu movie, which will probably be like weird and cool and fun and funny, dark satire, whatever. And he's playing the president. I think this feels like prime supporting actor nomination kind of thing. And then Sam Rockwell for Martin McDonagh's Wild Horse 9. Martin McDonagh directs Sam Rockwell into some very, you know, great award-worthy performances. Yeah, I think it's another kind of Sherlock. Again, assuming he is supporting actor, not main actor, which I think is fair to assume. We move on to actress. This one I'm not super confident in, but I've just sort of some of them, especially the Scarlett Johansson one, I've just sort of like thrown a Hail Mary shot there. But Rachel Brosnahan, she's in that movie Saturn Return. Got some buzz. She's a good actress. I mostly know her from the Superman movie, but she's been good in other stuff, apparently. I think that could be, she could be up here. Ruth Madeley. This is one where I did lean a little bit on the Variety article, but because I'm not familiar with some of these actresses or these films. Obviously, they haven't come out yet, but she's starring in that Being Human movie, which is a like biographical story, so there'll be a lot of focus on her, I assume, and she'll be doing a lot of good acting, probably. So I think she could be up here. Scarlett Johansson genuinely was just like, sure, yeah, I guess she's a big actress, and she probably will give a good performance. And it's for this movie Paper Tiger, which I think has gotten positive stuff. I think it's nominated for the Palme d'Or or something. Again, I don't know how the Cannes thing works, if people have seen it already or not. I assume if it's nominated, they have to have. I don't know. But anyway, Scarlett Johansson, she does good work in movies, and apparently that's a good movie. Renate Reinsve for Fjord. I think this one is like a 100% guarantee. She has been nominated before. She's very good. Seems like an awardsy movie. And then I have Sophie Okonedo for Clarissa, which again, I don't know much about. I'm not familiar with her work or the movie Clarissa so much, but it's got some buzz. Sure, I think she could be up there as well. So those are my actress predictions. For actor, there were some here that were obvious, and then some where I kind of, again, sort of just shot in the dark, like, yeah, probably, I guess, maybe. Tom Cruise for Digger. I think he's going to win as well. I'm going to throw that up there. It's May 2026. I'm throwing up there. Tom Cruise wins the Best Actor award. I did say that about Dwayne Johnson last year for The Smashing Machine, so that didn't go so well. Maybe I'm just picking my, like, podcast favorites here. But I really think Tom Cruise, though, in an Iñárritu movie, coming into a more, like, the more artsy part of his career, you know, he's been the stoic action man for a while now, doing a weird, different kind of character and in a weird, different kind of movie. He got an honorary Oscar, you know, recently-ish, so I feel like he's definitely going to win, or definitely going to get nominated. I would predict him early on here as the winner. Feels like kind of his moment, maybe, but, you know, again, it's early. I've also put in here Sebastian Stan for Fjord. You know, Sebastian Stan, I know he's, like, in the MCU and stuff, but he's sneakily, like, a amazing actor. Not that you can't be a good actor in the MCU, but he's been putting in great performances. You know, recently he was in The Apprentice, and he was in A Different Man, and he's doing stuff. I feel like he's going to be very good in Fjord. I can see that happening. I put in here Pedro Pascal for Behemoth. This one, again, I don't know much about the movie, but just Pedro's good, and it seems like an awards contender. Sure. John Malkovich for Wild Horse 9. Martin McDonagh gets great stuff out of his actors. If Malkovich is the main actor, which I think he is. I saw the trailer. I'm pretty sure he was the main guy in it. I think he'll be up here. And then, yeah, sure, Jeremy Strong for The Social Reckoning. He's playing Mark Zuckerberg. I actually don't know if Jesse Eisenberg got nominated that year, but Social Reckoning, Aaron Sorkin, Jeremy Strong, you know, puts in great performances. I can see him getting a nod here. There are others. I have like a couple of honorable mentions here that could get in there. Andrew Garfield is, there's a lot of like people playing real people here. Andrew Garfield is playing Sam Altman in the Guadagnino movie, maybe. That could be something. Dominic Sessa is playing Anthony Bourdain. Robert Pattinson is playing Chris Hansen in a movie, by the way. Did anyone else know about this? I looked this up and I was like, really? That's kind of they're making a Chris Hansen movie starring Robert Pattinson. That's just so random to me. But Jafar Jackson as Michael. I didn't like the movie Michael, and I don't think he's a Best Actor nominee. But I've talked to some people about him. They're like, yeah, he's definitely going to get nominated because, he did do the voice and the dancing and the singing well, and he had the energy, the aura, I guess, of Michael. So that is, of all the things in that movie, he was the best part for sure. So I wouldn't be furious about it, but I would be a little peeved if the movie Michael gets an acting nomination. By the way, if Colman Domingo, I love Colman Domingo. He's a great actor, seems like a super delightful dude. I've had this debate about with his performance in the movie Michael. It is so over the top. The shot of him at the end when Michael announces he's retiring and it cuts to Colman Domingo and he's slack-jawed, come on, man. That cannot be a best supporting actor nomination. Nicolas Cage, actually these are all based on real people. Nicolas Cage is playing John Madden. Maybe that could be something. And Robert Aramayo for I Swear, the movie about the guy with Tourette's, who won at the BAFTAs, and I think now he will be eligible for this year's, based on release schedule for this year's Oscars. I don't know. But those are some other people who maybe could get in there. We move on to Best Director. Kind of like score. This one feels like a packed year where you can already pick okay, you got a Nolan movie, a Villeneuve movie, these will be up there. So yeah, there are some maybe Ryusuke Hamaguchi is not as big of a name as Christopher Nolan or Denis Villeneuve, but I feel like he could be in here. But anyway, let's talk about it. We got Martin McDonagh for Wild Horse 9. I think that makes sense. Every time he makes a movie, it's up there for awards. Denis Villeneuve for Dune 3. Epic movie. Denis Villeneuve, prestigious yet blockbuster director. Similar vibes with Christopher Nolan. Damien Chazelle. We don't know what's going to happen with this prison movie. He's he's not in director jail, but since Babylon, that was a bit of an embarrassing moment for him. So maybe is he all the way back? Is it going to be, as good as Babylon, pre-First Man, the La La Land Whiplash days? Who's to say? But I'll throw it up there. I'll have some faith in him. Damien Chazelle. And then I have gone for Ryusuke Hamaguchi for All of a Sudden, the director of Drive My Car. This feels, I don't know, kind of a long shot. It's more likely that they would nominate David Fincher, I feel for Adventures of Cliff Booth. But I feel Cliff Booth, it's going to have, performances and such that are nominated and, production design, that kind of stuff. Is it I don't know, is it... There's something about maybe because it's a Netflix thing, or I don't know. There's something about it just it should feel more of an event. Maybe because we don't have a fucking release date for it yet. Could you guys tell us when it's coming out at least? That'd be nice. I don't know. There's something about it that just feels slightly not as big as some of these other movies. But I don't know. That being said, realistically, all of a sudden the new Hamaguchi movies, also it's not going to be bigger than the David Fincher movie. Not that they measure these by bigness of the movie, but anyway. I'm just throwing that in there. I feel he made an exceptional film with Drive My Car. Could be up there. There are others here. The directors of Clarissa, Cyan Heder, not Cyan Cedar, Cyan Heder for Being Human. Luca Guadagnino. I forget his name, but the guy who directed Sing Sing for Saturn Return. There are others that could be up here. These are my predictions. I'm kind of regretting putting Hamaguchi over Fincher. But fuck it. Maybe also because I really like Drive My Car, so maybe some personal biases coming in here. But maybe that movie will be really awesome and it'll get some more buzz. We'll see. Finally, Best Picture predictions early here in May 2026. We have kind of some expected ones, some ones that we've seen here so far, but we have The Odyssey, Digger, Wild Horse 9, The Social Reckoning, the Damien Chazelle prison movie, The Adventures of Cliff Booth, Josephine, Charles Melton the movie, Saturn Return, Behemoth, and Dune 3. And I realize I just said this whole thing about Adventures of Cliff Booth versus the new Hamaguchi movie, and then I put that here instead of the Hamaguchi movie. I don't know. These are just predictions. These are kind of vibe-based. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I feel these are the films that are kind of talked about. There's some of these that are very obvious with the Dunes and Odysseys, and then some other ones that could slot in and out. The Smashing Machine seemed like it was going to be huge last year, and then it came out and it was pretty underwhelming. So these movies like Saturn Rising, Saturn Return, Josephine, Behemoth, who's to say if they will pop off in the way that they seemingly have been getting some buzz. There could also be Project Hail Mary in here. I don't think that's impossible. I do have some honorable mentions here. I think Project Hail Mary, that was a movie event, and it was a great film. I feel that could be up there. Artificial, All of a Sudden, like I was talking about the Hamaguchi movie. The Anthony Bourdain movie, maybe. Clarissa, maybe. Joel Cohen has a movie coming out next year. I forgot to mention that with Screenplay as an honorable mention. But Jack of Spades, the Being Human movie. Also, apparently Jesse Eisenberg has a musical comedy coming out next year, or like a musical movie, dramedy, I don't know. Based on his last one, it's probably a dramedy. That could be something. But yeah, these are my predictions at this moment for Best Picture for next year. What do you think of my predictions? What are your predictions this early on? Let me know down below in the comments. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, please. You can find my main channel, BHL Hudson, my podcast, The Poorly Planned Podcast, my Letterboxd, Real BHL Hudson, and my Instagram, BHL_Hudson. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.